Hello and welcome to JDStone Creations. My name is Johnny and this is the Roland JX-3P that I've been given to refurbish by a friend. So if you want to find out how to refurbish this, stay tuned. Here it is presented in all of its mucky glory without the side panels. You can get a little glimpse of how mucky it really is just on the side of that key. There's the side panels, just a few screws on the bottom and across the sides. And then the entire thing, which, as it turns out, is held on just by the piece of wood that's the base plate and just the side panels, lifts up and reveals all of the lovely electronic glory. And also all of the cat hairs and fluffy dust and lovely stuff. Yeah. And this is where the tiny little vacuum cleaner that I got given comes in so handy. I think you can get these for about a tenner off eBay. Fantastic things. Oh, and a nice soft bristle brush. Ta-da! Now, all of these tiny little springs. See if you can guess where they came from. Oh, yeah, I pointed it out. There you go, off the top of the keys. Nice and easy to remove, flathead screwdriver, front bit pulls off, and the back bit hooks off. And there we go. Although, that gets annoying when there's 61 of them. Now, you're probably looking at these keys and thinking, well, why are you taking those off? They're nice and clean. No. They are, in fact, filthy. I don't think this has ever been disassembled and cleaned in its entire life, and I can't really blame people because it takes a really long time and it's quite difficult to do. So, if you have something called, I don't know, a job or a family, you might not have the time to do this. But hey, not all of us have lives. Oh, don't start chirping, budgies. So, after a good clean, each one takes about a minute to clean, it's time to flip over the keys and remove this bit here. This is the plastic strip that basically holds everything in place and is necessary to remove in order to actually remove the keys successfully. Now, I removed these first two without removing it because you can just kind of prise it open. But if you want to remove the rest of them and do this kind of cleaning for the entire key bed, you have to remove that piece of plastic. And unfortunately, it's glued on, so yeah, have fun with that. Now, that is the contact we are looking to get to, or rather, the other 62 of them. 61. 60 of them. Yes, go backwards, Johnny. However, before I can do that, it's time for the vacuum cleaner again. Yay! Now, of course, I didn't need to show you the entire cleaning process of this. I probably didn't even need it in fast motion, but hey, fast motion's funny to watch, so I kept it in. Whee! Now it's time for the contact cleaner, which might not be necessary, but hey, it gets rid of all the dust and grime that's ingrained into the circuit board itself, so it's just a double precaution to make sure that nothing ever shorts. And now it's time for the cure rust. Now, this isn't something that normally needs doing to keyboards because most of them are just made of plastic. However, the chassis for the keyboard of this is made from metal. And it's 30 years old, so obviously it rusted. And now it was time to remove the quite fragile rubber contacts. Make sure you don't tug on these too hard, because you really do not want to snap them. Somebody's been here before. And as I've just pointed out, someone has indeed been here before. But they'd only been there and cleaned and refurbished about 3 of the contacts, which I can't quite see the point of. So what I did was I took some switch cleaner and I cleaned every single contact. So that's technically 3 contacts on each because there's 2 contacts there and then 1 on the rubber strip. So that's 3 times 61, whatever that is. 183. Yeah, that was fun. Now what you need to do on this bit is get a nice 4 or 6B pencil, something nice and graphite-y and soft, and essentially replace or recover each of the contacts, and it just makes sure that they've got a lot less chance to fail. And then get your pencil and jab the rubber contacts back on again. As you can see, I enjoyed this very much. There we go, finished. That's all the keys he's getting. No. Oh, it's worth pointing out at this point, you have to put the black keys on first. You can't put them on after the white keys. So, if you are doing this, put the black keys on first, otherwise you're just going to have a nightmare having to remove them again. Every key needs cleaning, so some decent solvent or some nice Dettol or Flash or something nice and simple, and clean it up, slot the key in place, and you're pretty much done. Except you've got that many keys to do. And when it is done, it looks like that. With exception to this end key, which, as you can see, is completely flat. That's because it's, well, the end key. It doesn't need a space for any of the black keys, does it? So after another minute of cleaning, it was time to slot it in place and then refit the springs on the last octave of keys. Quite easy to do, but it does hurt your fingers. I seem to remember drawing blood at one point. You've got to make sure that the loop goes over the key, and then the hook goes into this tiny little hole on the back, which is about 6mm wide. I can promise you, you will stab yourself. Not from just hating the job, but just from the sharpness of the hooks. Oh, that was a bit morbid. Sorry about that. And that... Oh, that's not the final spring. Where is the final spring? There's the final spring! Yay! And there we go. And of course a nice test. Not plugged in, of course, because the keyboard's open. And a final little dust. I think before I put it together I used the vacuum cleaner as well, but that is pretty much it. And now, time for the buttons! Now, these are going to have basically the same amount of grime and stuff on them, but you can get them to shine. It just takes, well, the same process as before. A decent surface cleaner, a nice microfiber cloth, and a bit of patience. You can get each one to shine. The other advantage of this is that when you do press them, because they are clicky buttons, they're never going to stick anymore. So you'll never get a button that sticks down, disabling you from pressing other keys. Then it was time for the reassembly. Now, I am glad you are watching this, because hopefully you won't make the same mistake as me. When you disassemble this, make sure you label where the screws go or take some photos, otherwise you're just going to end up screwing about, quite literally. First time I tried to put the screw in, I couldn't get anything to line up. Second time, and this time, still couldn't get anything to line up. What it actually turned out was nothing to do with lining up. I just put the wrong screw in. So when you do put the correct screw in, it goes straight in and secures what you're trying to screw in, well, straight away. Oh, and one last little thing. When it comes to the electrical contacts, make sure you label them in some way, even if it's just a random smudge. Trust me, it'll make it a lot easier. And now for a little modification that I quite like to make to all of my keyboards. And that's the little bit of red felt that goes across the top of the keyboard itself. Now, the main thing that this does is stop more dust and cack and things getting into the keybed again. But the main thing is, it looks really cool, and it makes it look more like a piano. And the great thing is about the chassis of this is it's essentially designed for it. measure your double-sided tape to be the same size as the piece of felt that you're putting on. Put another piece of tape on that felt, press it down, and then what you're going to do is fold the piece in half. Now the reason you're doing that is because you want a nice clean edge to be showing outside of the keys. You don't want a nice wobbly edge, or rather a not nice wobbly edge. You want it to be as nice and straight and neat as possible. So by folding it in half, 1, you're doubling the strength of it, and 2, you're getting that nice clean edge. Now, rather than trying to paste it onto that top piece and hoping that it's going to line up, you put the felt exactly where you want it, double checking that it's straight on every part, fold the entire panel down, and then press it down again. And you get that nice straight edge. It's great. And then you just need to copy it into those 2 parts. See? Look at that! It's brilliant! And the fact that it's red just complements the rest of the keyboard. And that is pretty much it. Now, a demo will be coming about this soon. But until then, please subscribe, like the video, share it, do what you do. And, as always, stay creative.